The problem with Will Sexton, I want to start out with something small, something that probably went unnoticed by most people who watched his live stream last night. On the 4th of July, on a live stream, Will Sexton said something quiet. He was trying to make a point. He was just being honest in that loose, unscripted way people get on live streams at 11 at night. He says other videos don't do as well as the videos he makes about Israel and Jewish issues. And he said the ones about Israel and Jewish issues are the ones that perform the best. And I don't think he meant anything by it. I think he was just trying to tell the truth by his own analytics. But I think that offhand comment is more revealing than anything he said on camera on purpose. Because it's not a statement about his beliefs, it's a statement about mechanism. And once you see that mechanism, you can't unsee it. So let me be clear here on what this video is about and what it isn't. And this video is pretty unscripted. I don't think Will Sexton is an anti-Semite. I want to say that up front. I want to mean it. This isn't an accusation about what he is and is said. This is an argument about a structure. Or what happens to a channel over time, regardless of what the person behind it actually believes. Let's talk about audience capture. Here's the basic mechanism. A creator doesn't just serve an audience. Over time, the audience responds and starts to reshape what the creator makes next. You post something, it does numbers, you notice, and even if you don't decide to, even if there's no moment where you consciously choose to, make more of that thing. And a little less of the other things. Repeat that enough times and the metrics have quietly replaced your original intent. Not through some grand betrayal, but through attention and the very human instinct to keep doing the thing people respond to. And here's what I think the scariest part of the mechanism, which is audience capture. Sincerity doesn't protect you from it. You can be completely genuine, no cynicism, no strategy, no secret agenda, and still end up captured. Because the mechanism doesn't care what you meant, it only cares what got a response. So the question isn't, does this creator make content a certain audience likes? Almost every creator does that. That's just called having a niche. The real question is whether the creator has become an instrument of the audience's preferences. And I think the real question is a lot closer to the second thing than you probably realizes. Which brings me to the Kabbalah ceiling. There's only so much substantive material in anyone's subject. At some point, you've said the real things, the things that took research, that took thought, were actually worth saying. And once you said them, continuing to make videos on that subject doesn't add insight anymore. It just circles the same territory for an audience that showed up less for the content itself and more for the feeling the content gives them. That's the actual mechanical description of becoming a talking head. Not that your beliefs changed, that your function changed. You stop being someone's exploring subject and become someone performing familiarity with it. I have to ask, how many videos on Kabbalah can one man make before Kabbalah stops being the subject and starts being the costume? Now here's the part I want to be most careful about, because it's easy to get this wrong in either direction. I am not saying Will Sexton is an anti-Semite. I'm saying something about composition. If a channel consistently overperforms on Jewish issues content, that channel will, over time, concentrate viewers who have showed up specifically for that framing. Some of those viewers are there in complete good faith, genuinely interested, genuinely thoughtful, and some of them are not. And here's the uncomfortable part. The creator doesn't get to fully choose which. You don't get to pick your audience one person at a time. You get an aggregate, and the aggregate reads you. It tells you through views and comments and engagement that you are doing something right. And it reads you more charitably on that one specific axis than a neutral general audience would ever would. And a creator who's calibrating to the audience has no internal instrument telling them it's happening. There's no dashboard for your audience composition just shifted. There's only the number going up. Which is why Wade Sam and next same live stream matters so much. He said he's going to make a video about Black Americans. And I want to say the same thing here that I say about anti-Semitism. I don't think Will Sexton is racist. I think he's a genuinely curious person making content about subjects he finds interesting. But the risk here was never about what's in the said. It's about method, not motive. If he walks into that video about African Americans using the same toolkit that built his current audience, which is decontextualized statistics, sometimes grievance framing, and the quote-unquote just asking questions posture, he doesn't just make one video with a flawed approach. He enforces the exact capture dynamic we've been talking about into an entirely different subject. And his channel at that point isn't reflecting his own curiosity anymore. It's reflecting his audience's appetite. That appetite has already been trained by months of what forms on one very specific top issues content. The people who show up for whichever version of that video confirms what they all believe will be the ones who reward it the most. And the metric will quietly show him this is the version to make more of. This video is unscripted, but I have bullet points. So what's the alternative? I don't have the answer to stop making videos. I have the answer to diversify genuinely and not cosmetically. And I actually think there's an obvious test case sitting right in front of him, which is Theodore Roosevelt. Sexton has talked about admiring Theodore Roosevelt, so this isn't some random suggestion I'm imposing on him. It's using his own stated interest as the experiment. Make a video on the Bull Moose politics, trust busting, the square deal, conservation, a sitting president breaking it from his own party to run on the reform platform. That's genuinely rich material. It's not conflict. It's got conflict. It's got ideology. It's got a compelling historical figure. And none of it requires an ethnic or racial hook to be interesting. Think of it as a real test, not a lecture about balance. If Will Sexton can hold an audience talking about bull moose progressivism the way he holds one talking about Israel, that tells us something meaningful. That the channel can survive on ideas that aren't tethered to one identity-based niche. And if he can't, if that video quietly underperforms the way his other videos already do, that tells us something already too. It tells us how deep the audience capture actually goes with his channel. So here's where I land. Will Sexton makes interesting videos. I'm not here to dismiss the work or question his sincerity, but he said the quiet part out loud on live stream almost by accident. And I think that's rare. And I think it's worth taking seriously instead of piling on. The real subject of his video was never really Will Sexton specifically. It's every creator whose channels starts making the choices for them. Because the scariest part of audience capture isn't that it feels like losing control, it's that it feels like finally understanding your audience. So the title of this video was The Problem with Will Sexton, but I should have titled it The Problem of Audience Capture. It's the same thing I'm describing in the video, but he runs a very, very big risk of falling into audience capture and becoming that guy who only talks about Jews and not about other important topics. That's just my 2 cents anyway. As I said before, I tend to enjoy his content, and I look forward to seeing if he makes more videos about issues not related to race and Jews, which could propel his channel even further. Like videos on Bull Moose projects.